All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for making it a point to be here. I see we're already at 86 people on, and I anticipate some more will. I know that there are a lot that are planning to watch it on YouTube later this afternoon. I really appreciate that when I put something out and says, hey, this is mandatory, that everybody does make the time and the effort to make sure that they get here for this. It is really, really important. Some of the topics that we're going to touch on in just a little bit about our reopening, and you'll see where it really is important that everybody watches this to know kind of what we're doing. You can't just watch the MLS video and go, oh, I know what's happening in the office, because it really scratches the surface at best. So before we do that, though, this is our meeting day, and I do have a couple of things that I do want to share with you all. So we're going to start with some stats. We're going to talk about the calendar. We do have our guests who are going to come on and just, they each have been given just one quick minute to give you something of value, and then we will talk about what is coming for us with the reopening. So the reason that I still want to do stats this week is because I think stats have been fascinating, especially recently in the last couple of months. And so I don't want you to continue to go, I don't want you to go another week without kind of knowing what's going on if you're not checking. So active listings in the last week, the inventory for active listings was up 22.5% in the MLS. So that's huge, huge numbers in terms of growth there. Pending sales. Pended is again up this week over last week and over last year's. The note on pendeds is that for the last 3 weeks, we have had more pended properties each week than we did at the same time last year. So again, we're kind of the pendeds is definitely on the right track. Now, sold or closed properties in the last week were actually down from the week before. But remember, again, I mentioned it each week, but the closed numbers is the lag measure. And so when we see those pendants continuing to go up each week so significantly, we know that within the next week or so, we should start to see those closed numbers also follow the pended path. So there's that. Interesting stat of the week for me has to do with the median sold price. In 2020, even with the stay-at-home order, the median sold price has only been less year over year for 2 weeks of the entire 2020. That means that the property for just 2 quick weeks, there was a little dip in the median home price for sold properties, but really we're just continuing to see prices go up in our region in the MLS. And the last thing that I want to mention is I honestly didn't think that this was really going to be possible, but the showing activity, we know that that's been going up. It increased last week, week over week, 9.5%. We're now at 13% more showings per week than we were at the highest week before COVID. So something of interest there. We are having a lot of people going through homes right now. Let's talk about the calendar real quick. Next Monday, we've got Zoom Room again. The new topic for Zoom Room next Monday is, are you open to opens? We've been having a lot of people do virtual brokers opens and open houses, and we're going to have them speak, and we're going to bring in a lot of material to help give you information on how to have your own virtual tours. So be looking for that next Monday at 11. We'll send invites out later today or tomorrow. Next Tuesday, remember now, Tuesdays are our sales meeting days going forward. Next Tuesday, we've got before the sales meeting at 10 a.m., we've got one of the classes from Reliance. That's a half-hour class from 10 to 10:30. Title is Interior Pages, Bio, and Contact Pages. Learn to work with the 2 most popular interior pages, the bio and the contact page on your website. That's with Reliance. And then at 11 o'clock, we'll have our next sales meeting. Our next sales meeting is going to be amazing. I'm really excited for it. Bob Watson, who is the Vice President of Network Services, Global Network Training for Home Services and Berkshire Hathaway, is going to come on. I've known Bob for a long time. We've had a lot of opportunity to kind of not so much collaborate, but keep connected. And he is the head trainer for our entire national training. So at any rate, Bob agreed to come on and give us a lot of great information about what's going on with the company, what's coming, and some things for us as agents to help us grow. So that will be next week. It will not be a normal sales meeting because he will be speaking the entire time, and he has an hour that he is willing to give to us to talk to us about what's going on. So I'm really excited about that. That is a very unique opportunity. Actually, you can't say very unique. I hate that, but I just said it myself. It's unique or it isn't, and this is unique. All right. The last thing that I will mention for your calendars is Thursday, June 18th. That's not this Thursday, it's the following Thursday from 1 to 4. We have the next in a series of 3-hour clock hour classes from Amerispect. The next one is called the 10 most common home defects. So that is coming on June 18th. Watch for that and mark your calendars. We will have an invite that will go out to that. If you went to the last clock hour class, we had an issue with having 2 Zoom rooms opened up at the same time. We now have figured out what they need from us, and that won't happen again. So at any rate, I apologize for that little mishap. Let's go to our guest speakers today really quickly. I know that Mark Denniston, you've got some great stuff for us from Prosperity. What's going on, Mark?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Just quickly, interest rates are great. I think everyone knows that. I don't think I need to go over all that again since they've been basically about the same for the last 3 weeks to a month, in the very low 3s, high 2s for government loans. But there is something I wanted to mention just briefly. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac came out this week with new guidelines for self-employed borrowers, i.e. commissioned income borrowers, people that have their own business. They're going to be required to provide a year-to-date 2020 profit and loss statement that's been audited in order to get their loan closed. So that's different than in the past. In the past, we just needed a profit and loss, basically just to take a quick look to make sure that the income doesn't appear to be any much less than what it had been in the last 2 years. But now we're going to need audited P&Ls, and that's for all lenders, by the way. So I thought I'd mention that to you. You can reach out to the loan reps that are representing any self-employed borrowers that you have, just to make sure that your borrowers or buyers are aware of that. So really, that's about all I had, and I know we're trying to be brief here. So there you go.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. I appreciate you still coming on and sharing something of value for us or with us. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Kevleen, are you there? Kevleen may not be there. Let's go to Bill Nelson with.
Hey, and I'll take her time too, right? Can I take her time?
Absolutely. Yes. You can have her extra 30 seconds.
Okay. Hey, I just wanted to talk to you guys about something today, kind of timely, I guess, with the way it's raining out there so hard, about flood insurance. In the last couple of months, I've gotten a lot of inquiries from agents out there wondering, when they're out previewing homes and that, wondering if the property is going to require flood insurance. And this happens a lot when they're like out in the Snoqualmie Valley and that kind of area, but it can be in different areas as well. And the answer to that is, I don't know, because it's not something that is triggered by me. It's the lender is the one that's going to trigger that kind of requirement. And I can write flood insurance. It's very expensive. It can typically be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 on top of their home policy. So what I recommend is, if you're in that situation, the best thing to do is check with the seller, or the seller's agent. They'll know if there's a flood policy in place. And if there is, this is a really slick way to help expedite this and process this, is that seller can transfer the flood insurance to the buyer, probably 99% of the times, not all the time, but that's typically the easiest way to do it. And the advantage is, the buyer of the home gets grandfathered in. They don't have to dink around and try and go out and find flood insurance, pay an exorbitant price, because that policy stays in place. It's pretty static. And all it does is just changes names. It's just a matter of a couple of signatures on a document, and they inherit that policy. and it's all good to go. And all the lenders require is just a proof that there's a document in place. So it's just kind of an easy way to expedite flood insurance. Again, I'm happy to write it, but it is extremely expensive.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Kevleen, are you there? I haven't gone down to look. We're up over 90 people now. I don't see Kevleen, so we will move on. So let's get to what you all came for. Now, I don't usually prefer to read things when I'm doing any kind of a presentation too much, but today I'm going to do a lot of reading from my notes because I think it's very important that I get everything out there and that we make sure to hit each part of what needs to be said and gone through. So tomorrow will mark the first time that the offices are officially open again after 12 weeks of having the stay-home order. But again, of course, in opening, like everything in our world right now, it's not going to look the same as it did before the lockdown. It just isn't, and it might not for a while. So the reason that this meeting was mandatory is because as we go back into the building, we have the privilege of reopening, but there's a lot of responsibility, not only on our part as the staff and me as the managing broker, but also on you each individually. If you watch the MLS video that they put out about reopening offices, that's great. You started the process of kind of getting familiar with what's going on, but that video only scratches the surface. If it did everything, we would have just sent that and you could have watched that and we'd be good. But there are a lot more additional company policies and logistics and rules that we have to have in place in our spaces because of the uniqueness of each space. During our time with the offices closed, agents have been free to come and go as they need to do essential real estate activities. And because we weren't open, there was really no oversight of that. So for those of you that have been using the offices and maybe using it often, this might be a little bit shocking. It will be a lot more restrictive than you have been used to, okay? In reopening on Wednesday, we are going to start a new set of rules and precautions for our safety and to comply with the law. It is vital that everyone knows what the rules are and abides by the rules. It just has to happen. To reopen safely for our brokers and staff, it's imperative that we follow all the rules without exception. If we follow some and not others, then we compromise the entire thing. I think that we all know that and understand that, but it's important to say it. These are not suggestions, they are the rules. Until we reach future phases or adaptations to phases that allow for more relaxed restrictions or flexibility, okay? I know that we will all abide by the rules because I know that we all respect each other and the staff. And no matter what our personal views of the virus and the severity of the virus and using PPE and things of that nature, no matter what your view is, I know that you each individually respect the collective group and that we will not have a problem doing this. We do have agents and staff that are in different types of groups that are more or less susceptible to coronavirus and having a major reaction to it. So again, I emphasize that I know that you'll be respectful of these rules, but also want to point out, hey, it's not just about me, it's not just about you, it's about all of us together. All right, let's get into some of the rules and expectations for the offices going forward in this current modified phase 1 for King County. All agents and staff are required to wear masks in all common areas. This includes the lobbies, elevators, hallways, bullpens, computer rooms, training rooms, kitchens, and so on without exceptions. The only place in the office that you may be without a mask on is in your own private office by yourself. That's it. There will be masks that will be made available for you if you need them, but there are restrictions to this. First restriction is we're not getting our masks to be able to give to you or for you to be able to use in the offices until Thursday. So tomorrow, Wednesday, if you don't bring your own mask, you may not enter the building, because to enter the building, you must come through a common space. I know that everybody has masks by this point, and we do ask that you bring your masks, because masks are not readily available. It is not easy to get them when we need them, and we don't know what the need will be. So I ask and urge that you always bring your own mask. That would be very helpful. But if you don't, starting on Thursday, we will have you covered. If we run out of masks, then we will be back in the same position of people cannot enter without the masks. Let's see. All agents and staff must sign in every time they come into the building and sign out when they leave for tracking purposes. This is a requirement. We all have to do it. There will be a sign-up sheet in West Seattle, just as you get off the elevator at the front desk. And for Burien, there will be a sign-up sheet in the side entry. We'll talk about why it's going to be in the side entry later. Along with that sign-up sheet that will be posted there and easy to use, so you shouldn't have to grab it or touch it to sign in. There will also be 2 bins, one bin of clean pens and one bin of dirty pens. When you use a pen, put it in the dirty bin, please, and we will sanitize those each evening. And then have them back out and put back in for you for the next day. Clearly, if you can use your own pen, we would greatly appreciate to have less pens to sanitize. All agents and staff must comply with social distancing, keeping the 6 feet apart from every other person in the office at all times. Also, staff and agents, when you approach a staff member, all staff, including the OAs in Burien, and again, we'll get to this in a minute, will be in their own private offices. That is where we will be working from. Please do not enter those private spaces. Doors will be open and you can speak, from the doorway, but please do not enter a staff member's private space. My office in West Seattle is the only private space where someone could come in and have the appropriate social distancing space. So that is why that rule is in place. There will be regular cleanings throughout the day that the OAs will do. They will clean door handles and printers and countertops and keypads and keyboards and restroom faucets and handles and countertops and so on. That will happen several times through the day on a regularly spaced schedule. However, they cannot clean constantly. There will be use between, and I do recommend that you touch things and handle things with care and potentially write things down before you use them. If you're going to sit at a computer to use it, you may want to use some of the things that are on site to wipe that down and sanitize, or bring your own. The OAs are the designated COVID monitors. We have to have designated COVID monitors, and those will be your OAs. If you see anything to report, please report it to the OAs. If you have any needs, let them know. If there's anything that you think needs to be cleaned, let them know also. There will be hand sanitizer and other cleaners in all common spaces. I shouldn't say all common, in most common spaces. I'll start with that, and we'll see where that goes. But I think every space that you would be doing things and handling things definitely will have hand sanitizer and other cleaning aids. The number of computers in the computer rooms will be reduced. In Burien, it's already been reduced to 3. In West Seattle, our 6 computers, unfortunately, will be reduced to 2 computers. There is no other way to socially distance 6 feet the way that the configuration is in West Seattle. Now remember, we also have a computer in each of the conference rooms, not only in West Seattle, but also in Burien. Each space in the office will have a sign identifying the maximum occupancy for that space, and it can't go over that. This includes shared offices. So some of you are in 2-person offices. We can only have 1 person in a 2-person office at any one time. There's other spaces that you can use, conference rooms and things of that nature, but we can only have 1 person in that space at any one time. In Burien, there's a 4-person office. There can only be 2 people in that space at one time, and so on. These will be clearly identified and marked for all office space, common office spaces, how many people can be in there at any one time. Guests and clients are not allowed. If you watch the video from the MLS, you may have seen that in a modified phase 1, there is an allowance for having guests into an office space. But Home Services has ruled differently, that we can't ultimately oversee all of the restrictions that come with having guests in the office, which include time limits for how long and all of these different things and tracking purposes and so on. And so at this point right now, guests and clients are not allowed in the offices. There is no food allowed in any common spaces. The only place that food can be consumed or out would be in your own private office spaces. If you are in a bullpen space or in a computer room, you cannot have open food. There will be continued no coffee stations. There is no no bottled water, things of that nature that require staff to be handling many things that you then will be handling. All the silverware, the cups, everything like that is put away and is not able to be used right now, simply because, well, first, you shouldn't be consuming there, and second of all, we don't want staff doing dishes, right? The dishes that you're handling, that's not reasonable. Let's see, there are signs throughout the office to remind you of different requirements, and there will also be throughout the office in different spaces spacing X's on the floor, right? This is pretty self-explanatory. In different places, there will be reminder X's to show you as a visual aid of what 6 feet from the next person is. Conference rooms. Conference rooms need to be cleaned or wiped down each time they're used. This does create a logistics issue. Each conference room will be equipped with a laminated sign. On one side it will say clean, on one side it will say dirty. If you go into a clean conference room and use it, when you come out, you must turn it to dirty. It would be helpful also if you alert a staff member that you have now vacated that space. If you go into a conference room that says dirty, clearly that is at your own peril. I don't know, not peril, but that's up to you. But at any rate, this will help us know when it needs to be turned over. It also, though, means that, especially in Burien, please do not use the conference room as just a quick 30-second pop in, make a call, or whatever kind of a space, because it really adds more logistical issues in cleaning it each time. Use it absolutely as a workspace if you need it, and appropriately use those signs. Staff is required to take their temperature daily before we come to the office. A temperature of 100.4 or more, we must stay home and alert management of what's going on. We ask that the brokers do the same. It's not something that we can logistically police or govern, but we're going to ask that you do the same, that you do actually take your temperature before coming to the office. Anyone who is sick or has signs of symptoms must stay away from the office. If you start to exhibit symptoms while you're at the office, you must tell a staff member and leave the office immediately. And then continue to update us on your status. Anyone who tests positive for COVID or has someone in their home test positive for COVID must alert me right away. And of course, stay away from the office. The office is capped at a 25% capacity for modified phase 1. This won't likely be an issue. The capacity in Burien is like 76, so a quarter of that we're not going to exceed, and in West Seattle it's much higher. So I do not see a situation where we will be exceeding that 25% cap, because again, we can't do meetings and things of that nature in our current phase. We ask that while in that while you're in the office, that both agents and staff make sure to be thoroughly washing their hands regularly. If you, as a broker, are considered to be in a high-risk category, or have other health-related issues that may cause you to be higher risk, we ask that you continue to work remotely whenever and however possible to minimize the risk. Okay, those are the items that are the same for both offices. Now, each office has its own uniqueness, and here are the couple of things from each office that we have to respect in those spaces. In West Seattle, the interior doors as you come off the elevator are generally propped open during the day. We are going to continue to keep the one in the middle by the restrooms closed and locked. The one over by Pears on the south side of the building also closed and locked. The only door that will be open during business hours will be over by where Kaya's office is and mine. So come through that way and you won't have to touch a door or a keypad in. Again, those will be cleaned as we go, but that'll give you that opportunity. There will be nobody at the front desk due to the unnecessary exposure of sitting in front of the elevators and everyone coming off of there. There will be a sign at the front desk directing all mail carriers or anyone else that finds their way up to the 6th floor to use a button that is a wireless doorbell that will ring back in by Kaya's office and mine. So we will hear that someone is at the front and be able to help them. All calls will be rerouted to Kaya's phone. Let's see. The last thing that I have for West Seattle is that there are signs currently on the elevator. I did say elevator. Remember, we have one elevator that is being worked on that is not there, that they're replacing, so it's not accessible. So we have one elevator. We have one elevator for the entire building. The elevator has signs at each floor that says one person per elevator at a time. I have not been working out of this office. I have not had a problem getting up and down with only one person in the elevator, but I would imagine as we become more and more busy, this may become more and more difficult. I do know that a lot of agents and different people in the office building have been asking each other when the door opens, if there's someone else in there, if they mind if they come in, and there's been some social kind of accepted situation there where sometimes the people say yes or no. That's up to you. I'm not interested in trying to police that so much as to say just be respectful, of course, of others. For Burien, due to the layout of the office in Burien, Jody working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Maura working Thursday and Friday will sit at the front desk as they always have. But the lobby is now their private office until future phases. To respect that space, all brokers for the Burien office may enter at the side door only. Please, brokers, do not use the front door. The front door will be reserved for Maura and Jody and anyone who is bringing in mail or anybody else that finds themselves coming to the office for something. Again, no guests or clients, but we know that people do sometimes come in for different reasons. Let's see. Because that is going to be their private space. And if you think about it, agents in Burien, you can't walk alongside of Jody or Maura's desk through that hallway or go up and down the stairs and maintain a 6-foot distance. So the stairs are now closed. They will be able to be used for the office administrators only. The stairs in the front, I should say, of the building. The stairs in the back will be agent use. The hallway on the side that goes through the main level, there's a door right by where Tamara and Diane's office is, and that door will remain closed from now permanently until we get to future phases. Please do not open that door. The 3 agents who have an office that is shared in that front lobby kind of area off to the side are Diana, Marissa, and Maura, and you are able to come through that door to access your private office or semi-private office, but that is it. If you need something from Jody or Maura because of their physical space, you can either talk from up above, you can holler down, hey, we need some help with this or that, or you can call them on the phone, but you cannot go downstairs to converse with them. All right, I think that's it for the individual things for the individual offices. Things that will be back to normal. Bulk mail is back to normal and can be left in the office for pickup. The folks that are shredding papers for us in the West Seattle office, that company can now come in and pick up those bins and get moving on that. Mail and packages will be resumed as normal starting tomorrow. Both post offices know that they can start delivering to the office, and so we will be available for that to be up and running. Office supplies will continue to be maintained as they have been through the stay home order as best that we could, with one exception. For now, going forward in Burien, the wood stakes for directional arrows will no longer be available for agents on site. That'll be something that you'll have to pick up yourself, maybe there at the local True Value. Office cleanings are going back to their previous cleanings. So the Burien office will be cleaned once a week. Of course, we'll be doing cleaning throughout every day, but as far as emptying garbage bins and things like that in both offices, that will be back to normal. Lastly, the other things to expect are that weekly sales meetings will continue to be virtual on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock like we are right now. Clock hour classes, Zoom room, and new crew will also all continue to be virtual because we cannot have any group meetings. Some final thoughts. Please do not think to yourself, hey, I just have to run into the office real quick and grab something. I don't have a mask, not a big deal. I'm just going to be in there for a minute. And don't say to yourself, hey, I'm just running in to grab something out of my mailbox. I don't need to sign in and sign out. No matter how long you're in the office, please be respectful and courteous of those requirements and make sure that you are signing in and signing out and that you are coming in with a mask. We are Berkshire Hathaway. I know that we hold ourselves to a higher standard in our real estate, and we can definitely hold ourselves to that highest standard while we are observing these new rules. Please do not ask or remind, please do not make me or the staff or your colleagues ask or remind you to comply with the rules. Please be mindful and courteous of everyone. If someone forgets and is not in compliance, please be equally courteous in gently reminding them. We're not policing each other. We're not here to hammer each other if we've made mistakes. Okay, we're all going to be learning this together, and so there needs to be some grace in that. Lastly, we will be consistently refining what we're doing here in the office and updating you on any changes as we go. So the rules today, some of these things could adjust and change as we go. And of course, as we go through different phases, there will be adaptations and changes to that. That is a lot, I know. With a lot, sometimes comes a lot of questions. I will open here to take a look and see if there's anything in the meeting chat. If you have questions, please type them into the meeting chat and I can answer those questions. And that will be the end of our meeting. Bruce Butterfield has on here, Kaya Orte, you could cut out for me and then talking about the elevators. If it wasn't just me, can you repeat the elevators? The thing about the elevator was just that in West Seattle, you can only have one person on an elevator at a time, period. So I know a lot of people have been asking the person that maybe already is on when they're trying to get on, if they can also join them and being courteous of any response that they get. Debbie Kearns, can we pick up and drop off at the receptionist desk? Oh, can we do key pickup and drop off? That's, I guess the answer to that, that's a good question, something I hadn't thought about, but I guess the answer to that is no, because we can't have other agents coming here to pick things up, and we want to limit or minimize the amount of that. So that would be something maybe to be handled on site at the homes, maybe leaving the key box on with a key in there, but no, we should not have other agents coming to our office to pick up keys. Good question, thank you. Also, before I go any further, remember, we're in modified phase 1. right? We are in just the beginning of being able to reopen, and we are going to be strong in what we do, and things are going to change, right? Things will loosen up as we go. Also, please repeat the bit about personal offices. Can we go into Tay's office? Good, thank you, John. Personal offices, if you have a shared office space, you can only have one person in there at a time, period. Even if you both have your name on the door. If somebody's already in there, the other person can work out of a conference room or a common space, but you cannot have multiple people in one office at one time. Can you go into Tay's office? The answer to that is I would prefer that we speak from the door like we usually do, right? People pop in all the time, say, hey, got a question. Usually we talk from the door. If we need to, definitely the glass table in the back of my office in West Seattle is plenty far to be able to have private conversations. So we'll play that as we go. Karen Grace, I believe here, I recommend that you post the rules somewhere, like the lobby, distribute them and ask people not to call, not on the call to recite something to prove they've actually watched the video and know the rules and requirements. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, we will have rules posted all over the place. We did have 92 people on here at one point today, and we will be able to monitor and see how many people are watching on YouTube as well to get an idea. Yeah, I'll have to think about the quizzing people, but we will definitely make sure that everyone has the information that they need in order to comply. And again, it is okay to gently and in a courteous manner remind people, right? Because people will forget. We are all creatures of habit. You're going to walk out of a private office and forget to put the mask on. It's totally fine for someone to, in an appropriate and calm way, say, hey, don't forget your mask, right? But we're working together as a team, and not just policing and pointing out different people's situations. Cassandra says, can we bring our own water bottle? The answer to that is yes, please do. If you like water, both offices have filtered cold water that you can use. I believe also we may have styrofoam cups in each office, which is not great for the environment, so we'd love to limit the use of that, but we will also have those available. Good questions. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. The answer to that is no. We are done here today. We are incredibly excited about being reopened and having the staff back in the offices. Just continue to help us, help you. If you've got questions or concerns or thoughts, ideas, please share them. We're constantly going to be doing more to try to keep everybody safe and also make what we're doing more effective. So at any rate, with that said, Bruce Butterfield says, can we ask people who was the upside down in the meeting? Oh, Bruce, that's a great question. Yes, who was the upside down in the meeting? And that answer would be Steve Henke all day long. Steve's on mute, so he can't even hear him. I think he was sideways for a good chunk of the meeting, but I don't know that it'll necessarily show up in the recording. It's hard to say. So at any rate, with that, everyone, back to it. Get to work. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate it. Talk soon.
All right.